I want to
You
learn
never
school
got to-
dive and everything. My first
Normally you
grade,
get
I
them,
learned
that's some
about-
kind of detail.
You're supposed to be sturdy.
Where the heck is it?
Is there really?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's like a 60 or 80 foot
We can also
depth.
refer.
Oh, okay. Doug could tell you. Yeah, he'll tell you. He'll drive you right to the spot.
Yeah.
For certain
It
things.
was-
We don't look at where it is.
I have,
Part of the issue is we don't know if they meet the.
I don't like that confinement, especially at the work thing as the
This is on
panel.
different
We're
pieces
in
of property.
the,
That's what I was actually on the city.
all of a sudden I just
Now they-
locked up with a full anxiety. That didn't bother me, it was the tightness around my face and breathing, like, because I, every once in a while, that will come by.
But I just think
Nope.
I did that on earthquakes.
Did one.
District.
it could go under that, but
I got
when
my
I read
water.
that description, it was B1A.
Yeah.
Should clear.
Doesn't say,
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
It was like,
Yes.
I think that's gonna generate an interesting
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
Josh
it'd
is
be, I
right.
probably should find out where I'm going.
B1
It's curious. It'd be nice to know.
flying into Fort Lauderdale.
We're flying to Orlando, 2 weeks from tomorrow. We're staying at Margaritaville 2 nights, 1 night. And then you go to
lot of property right now.
Orlando, it's like an hour from there.
Trying to build a paper
And
there
then
too.
we're going, I think I heard Dominican, we've been there. So, but I really don't know. That's the beauty of being
Yeah,
there.
hey,
You kind of wanted.
you'll be surprised the whole time.
That's the beauty of being
I
me.
know that, I'm not gonna gamble on it because we've been on a cruise, that's what
We just have to be careful not to.
Especially for
Yep.
the-
Oh, yeah.
because it's the gateway.
I proposed her on the King Island. So
Well, we can't just deny that.
Well, no,
So
there's
cruise
several
I've been
things.
on, shoot, that was 18 years ago.
Plus,
Yeah.
B2 or whatever.
I like to do when John King goes. It's might be done. I don't-
It's not
That's a whole
sort
lot
of
of
my
empty-
first
empty
choice, but
buildings.
it's cool that it's gonna work out for my kids, so that he can just go be a 14-year-old, just go do things and like, we know you're on the boat. Like, go,
It's a
get away from us.
big
Let us do
building
our
to be
thing.
making.
Put it on, like, take it down.
Are they completely
5 or
out of
6
that
day
now?
cruise. I was
Oh,
going
yeah.
out every day, walking and running.
I haven't
in the
been
sun.
by there since.
Still put it
I would
on.
assume.
Like the
they're
20th.
Just empty, they had all,
Things.
everything,
Yeah.
racks and everything, so.
And it was a carnival.
I've heard
too.
Yeah.
Going to some build big lots.
The food's,
Oh,
the
yeah,
food's
yeah,
definitely,
It's a.
you get up there, so you just gonna eat all kinds of things.
It's an all-in-one kind of shop. They have one out in, over by Genesee Valley.
I also don't know if our Joanne's is gonna close or
Oh,
not. Joanne's is gonna close, just not sure if ours is gonna close.
all right, it's 5:30. Call to order. City, 6:30, sir. I'm sorry. Hey, got me. Who didn't fix the time?
Mike,
Strike one.
Okay, I'll take it.
Kim, you got roll call?
got it.
All right. In front of you is the minute, or the agenda for the March 13th, 2025 agenda. We have a motion or discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda of the regular meeting of March 13th as presented.
Support.
Got a motion and support, any discussion? Seeing none, I approve the motion, or, I'm sorry, motion carries. And then also in front of you are the minutes held by the regular meeting held on February 13th of 2025.
We need to vote on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah,
Technically,
the agenda.
yes.
No, we didn't.
Didn't we?
No, I don't think you said all.
You guys for
Okay.
discussion.
You just said-
Approve.
Sorry.
All right, so we'll vote on the agenda, sorry. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? It's because the time's off.
Yeah, sorry.
Now is the motion carried?
Now, motion carries, sorry.
I'll pay attention.
All right. And then in front of you is the minutes from February 13th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on February 13th, 2025 as presented.
We got a motion on the floor?
Second.
We got a second? Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Right now, we would open it up to public comments to address the board of anything that's not on the docket. You would have 3 minutes to address us. I open for public comments. Seeing none, I will close public comments.
What's your favorite color?
All right, and then public hearing scheduled today is a special land use Telco Hut, Davison Road, parcel L 21-18-180-001-00. Alex, take it away.
Good evening, everyone. So in front of you is a special land use request. There is no site plan at this time. It's just for such a use to take place on Davison Road. It's the Telco Hut. It's a communication structure. So the applicant is requesting for a special land use approval prior to submitting a site plan. So nothing would be approved to be constructed until site plan approval is satisfied. And that's what they're doing today. The site here is at the very edge of a residentially zoned district near the golf course. It's currently R3. The applicant also provided some elevations. This is the east elevation looking west, the north elevation looking south. My clicker isn't communicating. There we go. Okay, the east elevation looking west. I'm sorry, I'm going the wrong way now. These are error. West elevation looking east, and then also we have the a concept site plan, which I've zoomed in a little bit for you. As you can see, the applicant pretty much has, just in draft form, meeting setback requirements, and it's going to be fenced in, and there's going to be a loading area and parking area for any type of regular maintenance that may occur on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. So this is just no tower, just a structure that's going to house some sort of telecommunication equipment within the site. This is special land use, so there's obviously approval for special land uses. Standard A, be compatible in accordance with the goals and objectives and policies of the master plan. Parcel is zone R3 residential, single family residential. The parcel is designated as office in the master plan for the future land use designation. Utility and public service buildings use is consistent with the master plan goals for the future land use designation. So the proposed use is permitted in the district and considered to be compatible with the use of the parcel. Standard B, promote the intent of this ordinance in the zoning district in which the use is proposed. My comment is that the intent of this chapter in the zoning district is to provide uses that are compatible with the district. So the master plan has designated that. Standard C, be constructed, operated, maintained so as to be compatible with existing intended character in the general vicinity. The parcel surrounded area is residential in nature. The site is vacant and has woods in the property. The proposed use would be compatible with the surrounding general commercial areas that are nearby. The adjacent use to the east is a vacant R3 zone property. To the south, an R2 zone property. And to the north, an RM1 multifamily. Standard D, be served adequately by public facilities and services such as traffic operations along roads, police. It appears that all necessary utilities to service this site are there. I don't believe they're going to need any water or sewer, probably just electricity, which is in the area. And standards E, that involves uses, activities, process materials, equipment, or conditions for operation that are in comparison with permitted uses in the district. The applicant will need to provide adequate screening to the site, potential concerns of noise and other nuisances for the proposed generator on the site. It is to be determined to the level of noise or that it's gonna be generated on the site. We don't know. The applicant's talking about a generator, but that's not really right now part of any further details of the applicant. So, in summary, Plan Commission, if you feel confident that this shouldn't pose any concerns, staff recommendation would be to provide a condition that the applicant provide necessary screening methods and potential noise levels of proposed generator on the site during the site plan review phase. If the Plan Commission is not confident that the information provided by the applicant addresses outstanding issues, we would recommend denial of a special land use request.
Thank you. Any questions for Alex?
One of the concerns I've expressed to you in the past is in other communities, they do the site plan review at the same time as the special land use review, because they're asking us to approve something without any information. And I don't know if we need to change that by fiat of this board or not, but I just don't feel comfortable understanding what they're even really asking for. I mean, we're talking about screening. We don't have a site plan to show that they're going to screen the property. We could give conditional approval of special land use subject to approval of the site plan, but then why don't we just do those at the same time? I just feel like I don't have enough information.
All right, any other addresses to Alex before we open the public hearing?
Yeah, just to answer Mr. Womack, yeah, that's, it's one of these things where communities that handle these things in different forms will approve a special land use and then, go through the site plan. Other communities need to have a site plan before they approve a special land use. It always ends up being kind of a chicken or the egg thing. I agree, it's very difficult to understand some of the necessary details that would be reviewed during a site plan review process to provide detailed information about how that would align or create any outstanding issues during a special land use review. So, yes, some communities have done it at the same time. Some communities have done it one before the other. It's probably more of a policy thing for the city to understand what's the best practice. And I do agree that site plans provide a level of detail that are probably necessary to fully understand the extent of the use.
Okay. Any more for him? Because public hearing, I'll open it up to public hearing on this matter. See that applicant might be here. You can address it as well if you would like.
My name's Robert Andrzejewski. I'm the permit manager for 123 and I've submitted this. This is our site plan. We went through it with the special use first. That's how, Alex, you were saying, we've done it with a couple of different municipalities in the past, is we'll get our special land approval and then we'll submit for the site plan. But on this document that I submitted in front of you, we do have majority of everything on here. If there's anything that you do want to see added, we are more than welcome in accepting to add those. For instance, some municipalities have asked that we do a tree screening around the outside perimeter of our fence. We have a couple that wanted a chain link on top of it too, to prevent any vandalism happening to our structures. So, but to help answer some questions, this will be minimally accessed. It is just a point for the fiber optic cable to be regenerated for our signal. 123net was awarded government funding to build across the state to connect us down to Chicago, into Chicago across Lake Michigan. And the city of Lapeer is on that route across from the east side to the west side. So we're excited to work with the city and begin our projects, and hopefully we have some businesses and customers that benefit from our services.
I have a question,
Yes, sir.
because I'm really not sure if I know how to read this. Roughly how big is this building?
10 by 20.
10 by 20.
10 foot by 20 foot, yeah. About 9 feet tall.
Okay.
For lack of a better word, we call it a shed. Shed with power and air. Or like a hunting cabin.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Not for that.
Not for the applicant? Go ahead.
Is this like is there fiber going to it, or is it like a wireless?
It would be, it's the fiber leads into it, and inside of that we'll have servers, racks, and what we call regeneration equipment. So fiber optic cable, internet uses light to power the internet, so these are regeneration points for the.
Is there a line there?
Not yet. We'll be building it.
So essentially, you're building a head end, and you're gonna try to, you'll be picking up service. You're a
Yes.
new service provider
Correct,
in the
yes.
area.
Yes.
And you're obviously fiber, so you're
Yes.
fiber. So essentially, another service provider that would offer internet to the community, on top of Spectrum, AT&T, Frontier, whoever else is whoever else is.
Underground, above ground?
It would mostly underground, that's what we're looking at. We do attach to the DTE poles, consumer poles. We have agreements with DTE, consumers, Frontier, Verizon to attach. They have to be permitted though, with the permit to do both of those, so.
Essentially, another service provider in the city.
Noise levels? Does
At
it
the-
generate a lot of
the high-
noise, or? Yeah.
I would say regular noise. We're gonna have the 18 kilowatt generators out back there. I do have the spec for it as well if you need to see the decibel levels too. Fully encased. We ran probably about twice or 2 weeks for the maintenance period as well. Kick on about 10 minutes. We'd be looking at running natural gas to the property as well too, if we can get consumers out here to do that. I think it's this territory.
How big of an area will you be servicing?
It depends on the need. We right now are expanding quite a bit. We just expanded into Allegheny County. We were able to seal the whole county and bring service to the underserved area. So that's something we can always talk about, services to small businesses, city services, if there's areas that you're trying to bring internet to them as well. We just also worked with the city of Plainwell, another one that we're working with. They had the BEAD funding come through, that they were able to advocate and put funds towards bringing internet to the very rural communities that don't have it, so.
Thank you very much.
No problem, thank you very much.
Commissioner Patterson, you have a question?
Yeah, can we put a condition on the approval if we give it, that it expires or goes away if we don't get a site plan approved?
Yeah, there would not be, there was a special land use, but then it's two parts. You have to get a special land use or site plan approval first, and then either site plan or special land use approval. So in this case, the applicant decided to go the special land use route and then come before the planning commission for a site plan approval. So they have to have approval of both. So you could say, yes, we would allow a telecommunication structure to be on the site based on information that you received, but if you do receive the site plan and there's outstanding issues, you can deny it at that point, or put conditions on it, or however the commission may feel is necessary.
Okay. Any more discussion from the public before I close public hearing? And then we go to discussion, correct?
Sure.
All right. Any more public comments on this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And any more discussion by the board?
I think any approval, if we're going to approve, should be subject to approval site plan. That's pretty obvious.
Agree with that one.
But, I mean, I'm just looking, of course, this is not their site plan, but there's a generator which fronts along a road. I don't know if that's permitted. Probably would have to be screened. I don't know. It says chain link fence with privacy screening. There's some really bad options out there for how that looks. I'm not sure I'd be comfortable with that. There's just a lot of things. I mean, gravel drive. Do we allow gravel parking lots in this situation?
No, DT has similar situation, but the zoning ordinance requires paved hard surfaces.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of things here that could not be approvable from a site plan perspective. But, you know, I'm not gonna make this motion, but if the board's willing to approve it, it should be subject to site plan approval.
I 100% agree with you there.
Yeah, I kind of see that, because I don't think we allow chain link fence either.
Right, so part of the application to provide screening methods and potential noise, so we need to make sure that, you know, that is probably one of the primary things that are the focus of this type of use is it's screened in properly. So part of this special land use isn't to say, well, they have chain link, they don't meet the zoning ordinance requirements. That'd be part of the site plan review. Those type of things. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not within the purview of discussing it. It's just that the focus is here is are we allowing a communication structure building to house this type of, you know, equipment on this site. I think that's just what they're looking for. But everything else would have to go through site plan approval.
Straightforward?
Okay. I make a motion to approve the special land use request for 123 Net and Telco Hub to permit a telecommunications shelter on vacant Davison Road, parcel L21-18-180-00100, because the request meets all standards in section 7-19-04 for approval of a special land use with the following conditions. The applicant provides screening methods and potential noise level of proposed generator on site during the site plan review phase, and a site plan be approved.
I'll second that.
Good, we've got a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Only that the motion says that it meets all standards, and I'm not sure we have sufficient information at this time to make that determination, but I understand that's more of a wording issue as provided to us.
Okay. So, may I change the motion to meets all as presented at this time, or?
I think there's a lot of wordsmithing that could go on
Yes.
here, but yeah, I'd be okay with as presented currently, as currently presented.
So we're just approving the standards of special land use. That's
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah, nothing about the building, because that would be the site plan review.
And if it's subject to the final approval of the site plan, I'd be comfortable with that.
So is that all written, Kim? Cool. So we have a motion seconded. Any more discussion?
Who seconded it? Oh, right. Wait.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir, for coming in.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next on the agenda is site plan reviews, and we have none, so we're moving on to other business. First on the, presented in front of us is 1022 West Genesee, use / parking lot discussion.
Yes. So, in front of you is a topic I think that the planning commission should be discussing. This is the former Rite Aid site at the corners of Main and West Genesee there, right next to the former Junior White High School, which is now owned by the city. The property is zoned B1, neighborhood business. There is a zoning permit that was provided to the planning department for a office/government type use, perhaps medical, uncertain. But what we have is the former Rite Aid site with a few parking modifications, which you might have noticed, but the handicaps have also been proposed to the west end of the building, and there's a ramp. Overall, the site is a building of 14,700 square feet. there's a requirement for one parking space for every 250 square feet. On site currently for that, there is 56 parking spaces provided, which in total, do the math, you're required to have 59. However, there are additional 15 spaces available via an easement at the White Junior High site. Also noted from the site, they're missing a 500 square foot offloading and loading space that's required for such a use in this district. And so for the PC, I think it's important that this comes before you for consideration, because one, this is a property that's adjacent to it that's owned by the city. There are plans that are in the works for the White Junior High site of potential residential uses. There's also discussion to be had about the highest and best use in that area, in that district. This is for all intents and purposes your main four corners of the community. It leads as the gateway into your historic downtown. And that there's an easement that's been in place when it was the former school property. Now that it's owned by the city, I thought that it was important for the planning commission to perhaps discuss or direct staff or the city council to evaluate if this easement agreement should be reevaluated, considering potential development of the site or adjacent properties, as you mentioned, and what would be a potential future tax capture for the community. Another aspect is to determine if this use, because I don't believe there is such a use in the community, but I think it does, we're trying to determine what are all the uses that are going to occur there. Is it just office? Is it medical? And so the Planning Commission could discuss it, debate it, or ask that the Zoning Board of Appeals have a use interpretation via section 72205. And then obviously part of the discussion is, moving forward, is this going to be owned by the state? Will this be leased to the state? And so there's a lot of factors into this, and I thought it's best that this comes to the Planning Commission to discuss this, either to direct staff or the City Commission or the ZBA to assist in this process. I'm here to answer some questions.
All right, thank you. Got some note takers over here. We got any discussion on it?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
I don't know what we're being asked. I don't understand, because I'm reading over this, so is it due to the parking and with the details on this page, or what exactly is being asked?
Well, first, the site plan we got, this is probably the third or fourth revision I've received, so the parking had changed quite a bit. There was some consideration to expand even more parking to cut into the sidewalks that would, create some nonconformities. So when I see these things, I tend to think that maybe there's going to be a higher intense use at the site. The applicant had revised the plans a few times and came back with the plans that you have in front of you, because you can't fit more parking on the site. So with that being said, I'm assuming they're anticipating a high use rate. So what is it necessarily? I don't know. I can't answer that. It just says the Department of Health and Human Services in the state of Michigan. I'm not as familiar with it. And that, that easement that's owned by the city now is necessary to satisfy just the parking requirements just based on square footage.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rite Aid, so did Rite Aid have, because it's the same square footage of building,
Yeah.
what has changed from when Rite Aid had it with regards to parking?
That was at the time when the zoning ordinance, when it was approved, 15 plus years ago. So I really can't necessarily answer
Okay.
that, but
So things may have
it
changed.
may have changed, right? And so for this use.
Plus,
so-
it's an entirely different use.
Yeah, this is a very different use, so I'm not sure if this really falls into government in the sense of city-owned, which is generally the thought. Most communities, they lump it all together and they just say, government owned or government facilities, and so it's just like, just an office for, government purposes. Tends to be local city, but in this case, it's like a state agency operating. So is it really apples to apples or apples to oranges? One, so it's a determination of what the use is, and what's going on. Because obviously there's definitely a need for parking, because there's been a lot of parking modifications to the plans.
So let me jump in here for a second. So you steal a lot of my thunder, and I appreciate that about you, but one of the things I circled here is municipal buildings. So I looked it up in the ordinance, and it says municipal buildings. Municipal means city, it doesn't mean
Yep.
state. So, I mean, there's a ton of questions that I have. I mean, I have no idea what HHS is going to do in this building. Is it a medical use? Is it an office building? Is it a pharmacy use? I have no idea. Are they going to try to use the drive-through? And frankly, it's going to be a more intense use than I think than the Rite Aid. And I pull in and out of that parking lot, and it's a poorly designed parking lot to begin with.
Yeah.
And I certainly do not want to see a much more intense use go in there without some kind of traffic study or understanding of how the traffic movement is going to be. Considering we're going to have a neighborhood built back there at some point. I just think and I don't know what's in the applicant's head, but minimal information was given to us. So I think you probably brought this to us for some direction.
So can I add to Mr. Womack this? Also, there was discussion of adding doors, that was retracted, so in cutting into the building and altering the facade and entrances, so that's been changed. So I'm kind of asking the question and looking for maybe direction of the planning commission to see if this aligns with your vision, because as your consultant, I know that there's plans in the works for this area, this district. Not that this use can't occur in the city, there's plenty of available sites, it's just that maybe we should be exploring alternative options and then align that with the overall goal of the community so we can create a win-win. So we're not saying no, we're just saying, asking more questions, determining if this is the right thing and doing our due diligence, although we have a process in place. And the applicant's going through that process, but I think it's important that this comes before the planning commission and either, provide direction or ask for, for support from the various authorities and commissions to determine if we need to do more work in our processes.
I also have a concern on both directions of how you turn into it from the Genesee, and also crossing 24. That Liberty stretch there, it's very awkward, and if it's going to be high use, I can see the potential problem for traffic problems and accidents. There's just a lot missing here.
Yeah, I have a real problem with not knowing what the business actually is, even though it might be the state of Michigan. I mean, we're in a time now where we don't know what's going to be funded and what's not, right? So, if you're talking about another government entity right on the main intersection at the Lapeer, I just have a lot of questions about this. And then they're not a lot of detail.
Commissioner Patterson?
Yeah, again, you said something about it might have been changed, but on this site plan, they put the door right by the Genesee entrance, which is gonna have people walking back and forth with cars stopping,
Yeah.
backing up onto Genesee. We're gonna have a disaster.
Yeah, I believe so.
Commissioner
Perhaps
Atwood,
the
you have
best
any more?
avenue would be is to see what other locations might be appropriate for their business, but we don't know what it is. We don't really know if it's a medical office or what. And it doesn't seem to fit our definition. And I don't believe it fits our vision plan either.
Commissioner Atwood?
I'm not sure about our master plan.
Well, master plan, the future land use for that area is PUD, planned unit development. Yeah. Also, when I look at, it's currently zone B1, which does say municipal buildings and post office. But when I read the definition of B1, it's neighborhood business districts are designed to meet the day-to-day convenience, shopping, and service needs of persons residing in adjacent residential areas. So when I kind of think what this type of establishment is, I feel like it's more of a B2 type scenario where it's a general business district, and that's more designed for a wide, broader base, because I think they do the whole county of Lapeer, I think.
I was gonna say, could I expand on that for half a second, because you hit a great point, and that is neighborhood adjacent.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a business that's statewide and probably aimed at the whole county, which we don't know because the applicant hasn't told us. But that seems, I'm with you, I think it's probably a B2 use that you're trying to put into a B1 building.
And you guys brought up traffic. I think we would need a traffic study done,
Absolutely.
so we don't make a oopsie daisy.
Yes, I agree with that one. And then obviously, I'm going back towards the zoning board of appeals to the interpretation 7-2205. Definitely recommend that.
Yeah, but we haven't even received anything from the applicant yet. I think
Well, I
we need to
figured that
hear
would've
them
been-
first and then consider the ZBA.
Okay.
I'm comfortable making a motion. I would table this, I would make a motion, I would table this and give the planning consultant time to communicate with the applicant to find out some more of the information that we've asked about today, so that we can then have a proper discussion about which way we want to go. I think we've got some good directions in the future if we get information. Sorry, that's not part of my motion, Kim.
You're
You
taking
forgot
Just
you were
talk.
making a motion.
A motion to table to give the planner time to speak with the applicant to get additional information.
Right.
Support.
All right, so we have a motion and support on there. And, got a motion and support on there, so I guess we're at the vote. What's that? Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
Sorry, Kim.
So it's not open to the
I got
public?
it.
I'm sorry, what's
It's
that?
not open to the public?
No, this one's not open to the public, no.
A site plan review would have been.
Yeah.
Are you the applicant?
Yes.
You might want to stick around a little bit and the planner and I can talk with you after the meeting.
Perfect. All right. Get back over here. Sorry about that. And on to the section 2, proposed text amendments.
Hey everyone, so what I have in front of you is just a list that's been, a working list. To recall the old list, we definitely took some things off, the marijuana ordinance that Mr. Womack had worked at. But in front of you, there's a list of, as you know, we're working on building materials section right now currently. Mechanical equipment, we wanted to evaluate our methods of screening mechanical equipment in the zoning ordinance, particularly that materials shall match the building material in terms of materials and colors, is what we're looking to do there. Signs, there's a whole host of things that we need to evaluate for the sign ordinance. And so what I'm looking for here is to share with you guys our thoughts as a staff as we look to work forward, after what we're working right now, to continue making necessary amendments to the zoning ordinance. So 1 is obviously building materials, 2 is mechanical equipment, 3 is signs, reevaluating the entire sign chapter. 4 would be landscaping. As you know, we do require lots of trees. I think there's some things that we can clarify that assist applicants. We do get a lot of questions about how does this work. So we can create new standards for that. Parking requirements too. We have, a lot of communities are going towards requiring either minimum parking requirements or possibly deferring parking requirements. The way that would work is that, minimums. We're asking for, I should say, maximums. you have minimums, but asking for maximums mean that you cannot exceed a certain amount. You have about 20% in your zoning ordinance right now. You can exceed above 20% of the requirement. I think we want to do is cap that so that we don't have excessive parking. As you know, there's a lot of parking out there in most communities, including yours. And perhaps we can look at parking deferment options as well, which would be the applicant can meet your standards, they can demonstrate that they don't need the necessary parking requirement, and that they can hold an area that would be suitable for the parking, and in the event that they are deficient in parking, they can be requested to provide that parking that was required. So that would be just a way of having less impervious surfaces, less parking, and then there's a set-aside spot where the parking could go in the event that they're not meeting it. So we're trying to look at new alternative ways to address parking and be business-friendly and investor-friendly in the community. And parking is kind of the first thing you see and the last thing you see when you leave the community. The other part, too, is the zoning permits. We have a number of things in there that we do, but it all comes back to certain topics. Waste receptacles, parking lot maintenance and striping, and so we want to evaluate our parking zoning permit process to make sure that, Mr. Womack shared us some examples of other communities and ones that he's worked in and done himself that, we can update this so that we have a smoother transition for new permits, so they understand what we're looking for. And so we're going to try to include that in the zoning ordinance in our permitting process. So, any questions at all? One pager, but this is stuff we want to work here in the near future. All right.
Sounds good.
Oh, we've got two questions.
I just have a quick one. Under the mechanical equipment, where it says remove fence as an option, just because I'm learning everything, what is the reason for that? To remove the fence?
Let me go back. So we've had a lot of folks ask or have had fences, like fences on roofs. It's not the best look. They can exercise that. I think we want to move away from that and do something that's more architecturally pleasing. So that's the intent here, is to just, this always seems to be a thing that maybe you guys are privy to, but dealing with applicants about, mechanical equipment, they tend to kind of put them all over the place sometimes, and the way they want to screen them in or lack of screening. So I think we want to just be more clear on what we're looking for. And I think direction of matching the building material and color and stuff like that, so it just bleeds into the building and it doesn't stand out. So it's not just a one-off, from the rest of the building. So it's more cohesive is the idea.
Is this a nice looking building? It's got a big square on top and it's obviously something and it's just surrounded by fencing?
Yeah. So we're going to try to look at those options.
Commissioner Atwood, do you have a question?
Maybe it's a dumb question, I don't know, but we require to include dumpster waste receptacles for the zoning permit. But what I've noticed throughout the cities, when they have a enclosure or whatever, there always seems to be garbage everywhere. So is there a way that, it's probably not through zoning, but is there a way that we can make sure when they put those in, they also maintain their property?
Yeah, so the city is looking at doing a lot more blight control in the near future. But the issue here is currently I think that we require concrete or brick for enclosures, and those are very expensive. What we did in my other community was we allowed pretty much any type of fencing that was not chain link fencing, because the chain link just looks horrible. The problem, of course, is after a couple of years, they eat snot out of the walls, and that needs to be maintained, right? And we don't. So do we want to be business friendly by reducing the costs for the initial installation and reduce costs for maintenance versus having a higher quality, more expensive thing up front? Be actually using it, closing the doors and picking up the garbage, that's more of a blight control issue. One thing I did ask is the difference between the minimum and maximum parking. Because again, I've I've seen communities where they take the minimum parking and they give the planning commission a lot more flexibility. For instance, you have your minimum parking requirements, but if you put in a bike rack, it's 5 less parking spaces. If you put an electrical charging station for cars, it's 5 less spaces, stuff like that. I'd be interested in that, because we certainly don't want to say, post-COVID, everything's drive-through, right? Why should we have a Jimmy John's have 700 parking spaces, 99% of the traffic goes to the drive-through, right? No one's parking. I just would like more flexibility in that way.
Noted. So these are just other business, so are there motions on these?
I think
So I'm just looking for feedback.
Okay, that's what I
If
thought.
if there's any other topics, or, I mean, you guys have just provided some good insight on things and ideas, so I think we're just gonna continue on, but this is just something we wanted to share with you guys. As I think we would share last year at some point, potential text amendments and things that we're looking to do to improve the ordinance.
And would it be fair that if any planning commission member had other thoughts about ways to improve our ordinance, you'd be open and receptive to hearing that?
Yes, of course, once they bring donuts.
I didn't see that in the contract.
All right.
All right, any more discussion? Any more thoughts or ideas? Send to Alex Ways. All right.
Wonderful. All right, so next is the building materials and design guidelines. Like again, looking for some feedback. We're working through this. For the intent of this is I want to break it up, the architectural features with the building materials. So right now I want to look at building materials by district, and a couple of the areas I've highlighted to kind of ask you guys some questions or things I want to go over. So like I said, the intent of this is to create a document and outline that, provides more clarity for applicants and developers and investors in the community. So what we have here is that the following standards shall apply to all buildings except single-family R1, R2, R3. And then we have, what I've done here is I've lumped in residential, multifamily 1 and 2, all of the office and mixed uses, CBD, and industrial. And with that, I've broken up the overall type, whether it's masonry, concrete, etc., into some of the particular types of material that we've grown accustomed to, had in the ordinance, or have seen at some point. So we have some areas that are permitted, in other areas that we're silent on. So, and the other item here that, I'm just going to jump ahead, but the primary and secondary, I know one of the comments was, well, how do we, allow for, require applicants to bring some variety? So what you'll see here at the bottom, B and C, is that the primary materials compromise a minimum of 70% of the first floor facade and 50% of the second floor, upper floors. And the secondary material comprises no more than 25% of the first floor and 50% of the upper. So we're looking for applicants to break up the mass of the building and not just having one material from, the base of the building all the way to the top. We're looking for some variety. So we're requiring, obviously, applicants to be a little more creative, but obviously use the materials that we have here. So masonry items, whether it's natural glazed brick, stone, natural synthetic, terracotta, you have concrete, which is cast in place or precast. As you notice that I wasn't necessarily thinking that we want to see concrete cast buildings in residential multifamily. It just has more of a utilitarian type vibe, but it's up for you guys. This is all up for draft. It's just my first pass was maybe not.
Alex,
But
sorry
yes.
to stop. Is that the material I'm thinking of, like the front facade of Menards? Usually got this like fluted concrete look, and it looks very industrial.
It might be, I'm thinking like Soviet Eastern Europe apartment buildings, cast in
Do we have a lot of those around here?
No, but you can use your imagination.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Or brutalist, how's that?
Okay.
Okay. Also for the central business district, I don't know if that was an item that we want. Also central business district, so that is blank. Moving on to concrete masonry units, whether it's brush or split face, or tinted, which is a dyed block, which is dyed all the way through. So if someone nicks it, it still maintains the color, if you will. It's a new thing that I'm seeing around. Permitted in all the districts. The tinted one, I'd be, I guess, supportive of it in the industrial. The siding, wood or fiber cement. I wasn't necessarily sure if you guys were interested in fiber cement as a primary or secondary material in the central business district, but I'm open for discussion on that. That's why I have the highlighted question mark for you guys. Stucco as well, I know we talked about that in the downtown district, as well as synthetic ephes as well in the downtown district. Architectural metal panels, I'm open for debate about that, whether it should be an item that we use in the central business district, as well as glass panels. Not necessarily we have to answer all these at once, but I want you to at least introduce this to you all about thinking about what we want to do. You don't have to make a long-term decision right here, right now. The next intent is to maybe break up and talk about revisit this, but also talk about some of the architectural features that we want throughout the community that are either required or permitted, or perhaps even recommended, so that we would like to see certain entryways or certain features on architectural features within the district. So that's the next part of this, part two. I think I want to start exploring at our next plan commission meeting. But one important item here too is that I want to add in D is that in addition to the permitted primary and secondary materials, the plan commission may accept other materials for architectural details, accents, or trim, but not to exceed 10%. So, like we said, we talked about like new materials coming to market or whatever it may be. I think we're at least letting them to come in and out. We could drop the 10% and say, look, you can do it. But given that we already have established primary and secondary materials at 75, 25, and 50%, that 10% could be expanded or minimized or removed. But at least we're allowing may accept. So it's not that you have to, but you could consider it. And with that, just a caveat to that, just if you do accept it for one person, you have to be consistent moving forward. Let someone else do it, we should probably let somebody else do it as well. So I add that language in there. So that's kind of what I've tried to bring that giant mess that you guys saw and kind of bring it to something that's more tangible and useful, and a little more structured and organized. So I'm open for comments.
All right. Do you have
Question.
questions?
Yeah. Could you give an example of a business or a building of some sort here that has the fiber cement board siding?
I don't.
I've never,
Yeah.
I don't know what that is really. I'm not sure I've seen it.
I would say just working with other communities and just my past experiences, that some communities just don't like fiber cement for whatever reason, they just have said no. So I'm not saying no, I'm just probably leaving it as a question mark for you guys to determine if that's something that
Some of your
you
gas
feel is
stations, yeah,
Gas station.
yeah, prior, like, a couple of them have changed to the brick, which, I mean, if you're gonna have a gas station, that looks pretty nice, but some of them, I think, were fiber cement, but
Yeah.
it's essentially like a stucco material, and it's just, it's a cheaper way to do
Yeah, it
things.
doesn't look as nice as one.
It's just like, which,
Can look good.
I noticed that we didn't talk about color. Does anybody want to talk about
So
paint color?
that would be tonight. That would be tonight.
We are gonna talk about paint color?
No, we're not. We're not.
Good.
No. We're not gonna talk about color because
Nothing
I
about
want
alert
to
times.
break this up into more. There's a lot to digest. So this is just focusing on materials in districts and percentages and ratios, if you will.
Perfect.
That's what we want to do right now. The next part would be looking at architectural features, like entranceways, planters, things of that nature that we want to see on buildings to beautify the community. So that's the next part. The colors, I'm gonna leave it for very.
So Alex, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I've got a bit of a silly question. So, with uses of property, we have permitted use, special land use, not permitted, right? I'm seeing a lot of Ps, not a whole lot of SLUs in here. One of the things we had in my previous community was, well, you gotta use this expensive material if it abuts a driveway. Because if you're driving your car and you hit the wall, we don't want it to be a cheap material, it's gonna get destroyed, right? But you could use the cheaper material if you have a 8-foot sidewalk between the driveway and the building. That way you're not hitting the building with your car. Is there a way to build in some special land use for some of these materials where we permit it if it's not, gonna get hit by cars?
So, Mr. Womack, to answer that question, so if we want to, so first I'll answer, special land use would be a use. In this case, you could determine that a material is a special land use, but that may trigger special land use provisions like public hearing.
Special material use?
And then, right, special material use, I guess, is another way to go about it. That isn't necessarily what I've seen too often. If we want to, see, this would be a balance between architectural features and materials. And so we would have to bridge the gap between, cornices and gables and entranceways and planters with permitted uses. So it's not that common. We could request that if you want to deviate from this, you would have to provide 10-foot sidewalks or things like that, but then it may be challenging because there just may not be the real estate to do it if they're in the downtown, or if there's existing sidewalks. Maybe that would be something that we could say, if you put a water fountain in, we might let you put something else in. It's a good idea. I'm just trying to think of the mechanics behind it, the technical side of how we could do that. So I'll have to pencil that in and get back with you how that would work.
There's this polite way of saying no.
No.
Not if you bring them donuts.
And then he said it twice in a row, jeez.
No. It's just the Midwest. It's like the yes, Midwest, yes, no. Yes, no, maybe.
Commissioner Abbott?
Would it be a good idea to have our building inspector reach out to the local contractors and architects while we're going through this process to see if they have any input on something that we might be missing, or?
Well, you might. So that's why I have that little 10% may there type. I think that it all comes back to we can get architects to comment, but at the same time it's your community and what is it you guys want. So we could facilitate like a questionnaire to architects or folks that we see often. I don't know if that will. I'm not sure what the results we'll get out of that, so that can be determined if we're tied. I wouldn't say you would be necessarily tied to it either. Someone could say, look, we want to have gold plated or something, I don't know, something reflective. We could look at that, I guess.
All right. I personally like the direction you're going. Very good. Thank you. You rolled this out really nicely to us. Do we want to address any of the question marks?
I think this might be a workshop
Yeah.
session, plus
Okay.
it sounds like he's got a comprehensive list of all the other things he's wanting to get into. This is not gonna be a 2 or 3 meeting thing, I don't think.
I could try.
It gets better and better every meeting, though, I'll tell you
Well, I
that.
can try. I think, when I first introduced this, we were gonna try to go this route.
Yeah.
We could ultimately get a workshop. If we get a draft and just get some input, I think after it gets through to you guys, next meeting or two, I hope, maybe, we'll see.
Right.
So far, it's going well. But You know,
Besides the fact that I think this board may wish to talk about these issues with other boards at a joint meeting.
no, I think this would be great for a joint meeting.
Good thing we haven't come up.
Do we?
I don't know. I don't know.
What does it say on the agendas now?
I know, we're a joint meeting topics.
That joint meeting.
All right, no, Commissioner Madison.
Yeah, just a small, we're always talking about new building materials.
Yeah.
Is there a way we could build an ordinance that's proactive to surely our building code, as they're updated, updates building materials, that we could work off of updated building materials?
Yeah, so, I mean, this is not set in stone, this is just what it is. At any moment, the planning commission could, in 6 months, or a year, 18 months, or 10 years, could reevaluate this and determine, hey, we want to make a text amendment, add a line in here, and the way it's structured is that you could enter a, I guess if you will, a parent material type and sub-material type into this pretty easily.
But
So
I
that, yeah.
understand, but what I mean is, rather than keep bringing it up when someone requests to use that material,
Yeah,
just when the new building material lists are submitted into the building code, submit them into the list.
yeah, we would have, that would still have to be,
And
technically, mechanically, that would still have to be a text amendment.
Okay,
Yeah, but I understand what you're trying to get to, but there wouldn't be like, you know, a Microsoft update, you know, when Windows new comes out or something.
That'd make my job so easy.
Well, we're gonna get there with AI. probably.
If I could propose something, so from a process point of view, what you could do is add add other high-quality materials, right? And then somebody wants to provide a sample of another high-quality material. It could either come to us, or it could go to the ZBA or somebody and have them make a determination whether that is a high-quality material. And then I guess from a practice perspective, practicing something, we would say, yes, this new material is now considered a high-quality material.
But then I would have to, I mean, that's true, but I would still have to come back to mechanics up in the process of amending your zoning ordinance. So then, with that, that's why I had that 10% in there to be considered, you know, but going a step further, like Mr. Womack saying, we could, you know, take that out and put a subcategory of other with an asterisk that the planning commission could consider it. But then it becomes a challenge with the way this is structured of what district that applies to or not, right? So that, you know, your traditional downtown, you want to keep it more traditional, of course, and then the other areas could be opened up, if you will, but we could have that, we could continue to have that discussion and find ways of drafting it.
All right. Good deal. Any more discussion on this before we go to next topic? I didn't see any hands. All right, so next on the agenda is joint meeting topics. I think we just segue the best way we possibly can to the one that we should probably join are the topics, in my opinion, with the other boards. I know it's a hot topic. Everybody has their own views on everything, and everyone's up in arms, especially online. People like to say stuff, and it's all fun and games, and then if we don't ever talk about it, we never resolve it. So that's my topic. Actually, I have more, but I'll let you guys out.
You want to talk about?
Are you gonna teach that one?
No, yeah, we'll talk about talking. How about talk about talking together instead of at?
I think the best thing to do is just, like I was telling Marty, delete your Facebook app off your phone.
Well, after a meeting?
Because
or
I've
like
done
for a
that,
week?
and I gotta tell you, it's been the best week that I've had. Because my opinion, it's, you know, it's like you're gonna get into a difference of opinion, we can argue about just about anything.
Yep.
So, that's not really productive or healthy for your mind. So, sitting in front of each other, I mean, I feel like the continuity of what we're doing up here, you know, with his great work, with like just the building stuff, just open conversation where you show each other respect can go a
Yes.
long way.
Absolutely.
And these joint meetings, I think, are hugely important for that, right? Because you might be surprised to learn about the other people sitting on other commissions, what they actually think. And I think that's the whole point of it.
So for what it's worth, because and obviously I'm the one asking the question here, is, you know, what are this board's concerns that we think we could do better for the community if we express those concerns to the other boards that we work with, is kind of what I was getting at. Like, I think one of the big ones that we have is, we don't know what to do about building colors, right? I think each one of us have our own thoughts up here about what to do, but ultimately, the planning commission is gonna have to make a recommendation to the city commission, right? And they can accept or reject. So maybe it's a good face-to-face to have with the city commission and say, hey, give us some direction here. Because, you know, do we want to have tan town? Or do we want to have tan town just in the downtown area? I don't know. That's a direction I think that we should probably at least seek the wisdom of the city commission on.
Commissioner Patterson.
Yeah, just to tag on, I'd also like to hear the DDA's opinion on the colors.
Yep.
Because they're the people who would have to
Well,
live with it.
I kind of just wrote down building materials. That kind of encompasses everything in each and above district, or all the districts. Obviously, downtown district's way different compared to our 24 corridor, compared to our industrial district, compared to our residential districts. It's all,
Yeah.
they're all, I mean, we could sit here and say, let everybody do everything, but you know, you can, but there is difference in the districts.
Just said the DDA because they are a special
Oh,
group.
yeah, I know. I'm saying that it generally encompasses every single board.
Yeah, it does. And
So I'm not sure if this is something that the, like, say, city commissioners would, like, oversee. I don't know the best way to say it. But I have some concerns, and I've expressed them at, I think, a joint meeting, not this year, but the year before, regarding the walking trails, specifically by the hospital water tower area. I've got safety concerns for people walking out there. And I think at that time, what we were told was that it was routinely patrolled by the city police. I know that is not a fact. I know that is not true. And what I want to talk about is big picture of how we're going to address that, because sooner or later, we're going to have issues out there. I've heard things, but nothing verifiable. But, you know, having a spouse that likes to go on those trails, and some of her concerns when she's out there, and I've heard it from many other people, I think it's something that we should talk about. So I don't know if that's the forum for it.
Well, I'm not sure if that's a board concern, that might be your personal concern, but I also don't like your statement about, you know, it's false, when in fact, I talk to the police on a daily basis, they do patrol out there.
Well, it's,
They may not be out there every second of the day.
okay, so this isn't an argument. This is just my feeling, as you stated. I'm from this town, I live in this town, and I know a lot of people, and that is a common concern. So what I'm bringing to you isn't my concern.
So I think the separation of it, is it a board concern compared to a personal? That's
I think I started by saying that because I'm not sure.
Okay.
I just think it's something worthwhile talking about, and if this joint meeting is where we do it, then I would like to talk about it.
Okay. I think we can at least investigate or look into that to see if that is the proper outlet for that, for sure. Any other ideas? I think that's a pretty big one, the whole building material in all the districts. That's a pretty large one. I think that'll take up a lot of time.
Well, and part of the reason I wanted to have this discussion with this board, and of course all the other boards will be having similar discussions, is we don't want to have a 12-hour meeting either, right?
That's true.
So I think it's going to be more of express the concern, seek feedback, and then, you know, try to work towards the goal, you know, whatever the feedback might be. But certainly, you know, we could talk for days and days about all sorts of issues. But this is one of the things that we were asked, was let's have a more open, honest, frank discussion about some of these board concerns. Because, you know, you guys in the past, we've done kind of brainstorming about certain issues, and we gave you stickers, and, you know, you voted on things. So we're just trying a different tack.
Good. No, I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. I think if it opens up any discussion, because at the end of the day, I wrote down here, we're all working for the same goal, and that's our city.
So I'm not sure if this is an appropriate joint meeting topic, but I do want to explore the concept of approving or reviewing site plans and special land uses at the same time. I thought that worked out great in my previous community. It gives you all the details up front, so you're not saying, well, why are we being asked to approve something without enough information? That might be an intra-board discussion.
Yep. So it's, if it's not presented, then you would hold off until it's all together.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, that's
So.
kind of makes a no-brainer, but.
Can I add to that, Mr. Womack, too?
Yes.
So with that, I think that, I definitely support that. State Zoning Enabling Act requires you to have a site plan review with a special land use. So we just, I think it'd be best that we do that.
Okay. I mean, I'm agreeing with that. I think it's a pretty fair statement.
So let's make, if I may.
Yes.
Kim, could you put that as a
That's
motion or
an
something
easy
else?
change to make.
Yeah, make that a motion
Duly
on next
noted,
agenda.
and that'll be conveyed from this point on.
So do we need it for a motion for the next agenda?
Well,
Or-
I'd feel comfortable having board action on this, just so that we have it recorded.
Okay.
It seems like it's a no-brainer, but if we could put that on the next agenda.
Okay, we're good with that?
Who's making that motion?
I guess if you're willing to
No.
accept the motion at this point,
Absolutely.
I'd make a motion that all future special land use be accompanied by a site plan prior to approval.
All right, we got a motion on the board.
Support.
We got support? Got any more discussion?
I do.
Deb,
There's a tie, don't matter.
you get your name on the board?
The end result is the same.
Any discussion? Pretty straightforward to me. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. So I think we got a good, I think we have an okay direction that we want to go with. Is that good enough?
So the joint meeting's not gonna be till May sometime, so we'll have
Okay.
another meeting between
Oh,
now
okay.
and.
Any ideas, bring it to what we'll.
Yeah, so come to the next meeting with ideas, but looks like Mr. Apple might have one.
Oh, go ahead.
Did you narrow down, excuse me, did you narrow down the date?
Not yet.
Commissioner Haslund.
So the way I look at this is,
Go find out.
we have our master plan, it's 157 pages.
That's correct.
So, all of our boards are on this journey, you know, and we need some sort of collective map so we know what our end result's gonna be. I mean, we have it broken down in here to existing land use percentages of what we have now and what we want for the future. We have colorful map that tells us what our land use is now, what we want for the future. So if we could somehow all simplify the master plan or break it down easy so we know how to get that end result. On this ride, right, we're all on the bus together. We're gonna get hungry. We're gonna need to know when to stop. Our children are gonna get hungry, so future, when are we gonna stop for the kids? And future, their kids are gonna be hungry, so how do we get us all on the same bus, and all heading in the same direction for the benefit of the city, I guess?
There you
How do we simplify that, crunch it up in a nice little package? And
So I don't think you can, because it's a master plan, it's 152 pages.
well, you can get
Just
big parts of it.
Well, we just tell Alex, make it simple, man, come on.
Yeah, put a nice little bow.
Josh, I think these joint
For a low,
meetings,
low price.
the joint meetings will accomplish.
I think if they're done right, that's why it was brought up in our last meeting. I think if it's done right, and we have a successful in a open conversation that actually, we walk out of there not maybe upset with some comments or whatever, I think it would be 100% successful and make everything go a lot better.
So what I heard from you, Josh,
Let's buy a bus.
no, the one that sticks in my mind is the Polar Palace. You know, previous board action, rezone that property for marijuana use, and I wasn't here, I don't know what the thought process of the discussion was, but we need to be looking at our master plan and future land uses so we can avoid that type of attempted short gain for the true vision of this community. I am thankful, incredibly thankful, that somebody's coming in and putting it back to what its appropriate original use is gonna be. I think that's gonna be a great focal point and use for our community. And I think we need to keep our vision towards the future and not be seduced by short-term gain. Is that what you were saying, or something?
It's similar, yeah.
All right. So we got, we'll keep that in the back of your mind. You guys have any more ideas to bring to the board for next month until we have our joint one, and we will go from there. All right, to commissioner comments. Commissioner Johnson,
I'm good.
Commissioner Brady, Commissioner Pattison, Commissioner Atwood,
Good.
Vice Chair Roberts.
They're pushing earth around at Popeye's site.
Yes,
Yes.
they are.
Oh, really?
Quite a bit, quite a bit.
I
It's
saw it
all-
and was so excited.
His Facebook page told me that too.
No,
Social
I wouldn't
media?
know.
you wouldn't know.
He doesn't have to have no more.
Oh, yeah.
Mayor Marquardt,
I'm good, thank you.
City Manager Womack.
Well, they were all saying they're good. I was gonna say I'm awesome, but that seems, no, I'm just happy with the direction this board's taking. I think we're getting a lot accomplished, and I'm hoping that we got some of these big projects that are currently on the back burner and moving forward.
And I will second that right there, because we are seeing activity in the city. Obviously, it's spring, so hopefully that continues, and hopefully more stuff comes in front of us, so we can approve it. All right, that's it. Jeremy?
Yeah. How many pages is that, activities report? One, two,
Uh-oh,
three,
sorry.
four of them.
No, I didn't.
Do we have another meeting?
No, I forgot correspondence. Which if you didn't read it, then you didn't read your packet.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I missed the whole correspondence section.
Yeah.
All you have to do is say.
It's read. Correspondence is as presented, because
It's in your
but if you
packet.
don't read that, then you don't know to do that.
Yeah, just say it's in your packet. That's what I do with our correspondence.
Oh, yeah, it was good. I drink it. We left for Indiana that night, so I drank it on the way. Keep me awake. Which I needed it because it was terrible. The roads were terrible.
Good evening. Good evening.
Ms. Brady?